I am going to discuss about the subject Network and Cyber Security, presenting by Manjunath Iyer, Assistant Professor, ECE Department, Canara Engineering College from Mangalore.
I'll be discussing about Module 2. It's the electronic mail security.
So today my video lecture content is related to domain key identified mail, okay, DKIM. In short form we'll say DKIM. So this is very important to understand. So in detail under domain key identified mail, so I'll be covering internet mail architecture. Okay, so I'll give a brief introduction. In detail about. I'm going to discuss in detail about internet mail architecture, and then what are the threats for email, the problems that we'll face in email, and DKIM strategy. So strategy that is used by DKIM for identifying the key. So DKIM function flow, domain key identified mail function flow. Okay, so today this video lecture is whole discussion is related to DKIM only, and this topic is the last topic of the module 2. So directly I'll take my discussion into domain key identified mail. In short form, it is DKIM. So let me explain in brief way what is DKIM. So there are many domains are available to provide the email service. There are many email service providers are available. They are all okay from a different domain. Say for example, we have Gmail, Rediff, Havu. Okay, so like this we have many options, and we'll go with any one service domain for our personal usage. Say for example, I'm using my Gmail account, so I'll come under Gmail domain or Gmail service provider, email service provider. Now, so I wish to receive a message from the person who is using yahoo.com. Okay, so the person who is trying to send a message to me is a sender and I am a receiver. Message is trying to communicate between the two domains, Gmail and Yahoo. So now let's say for example, the person who is using Yahoo, is already sent message to me, and by the time when I receive, when I want to see the message, so I need to go for decryption. So because the sender he may use or he might done encryption, he might gone for encryptions by using some keys, like secret key or is a public key. So respect to that encryption part, here we need to use some keys here for a decryption to get a plain text. So for those keys I can send my request or queries to the domain or the person who is using Yahoo. So like this, so we need to send a query to exchange the keys between the two different domains. They are Gmail and Yahoo. This is how the process is between two domains key exchange. So Gmail has need to identify the keys of Yahoo domain. So this is like very brief understanding about domain key identified mail. This is an example I have given. Now see, a specification for cryptographically signing email message permitting a signing domain to claim responsibility for message in the mail stream. Yeah, that's what the sender is nothing but the person who is using yahoo.com. Before he is sending, he might gone for encryption process, and sometimes he might put his signature as for authentication. Okay, that is a digital signature. And at the receiver side, okay, in the Gmail domain, so we need to perform the verification of sign and encryptions. Okay, so for to perform these kind of activities, we want the keys, respective keys. Okay, that key need to be exchanged or identified by the Gmail. Okay. Recipients or agent, user agents can verify signature by querying the signs domain directly. Okay, that's what we can send our query to the domains directly to retrieve the appropriate public key and can thereby confirm that message was attached by a party in possession of the private key for the signing domain. Okay, this is what I have explained in the beginning. So we need to send our query by the Gmail user, because Gmail user is a recipient. Okay, to share his public key for verification of signature or decryption. Proposed internet standard is followed by domain key identified mail is RFC, request for comment 4871. Has been widely adopted by a range of email service provider and internet service provider ISPs. Okay, it's a introduction to the domain key identified mail. So let us discuss in detail about internet mail architecture. Okay, it's very important to understand about the DKIM. So let us start with initially message user or a agent. So in short form we can say MUA is a message author or a originator or a sender. Okay, this person is going to send a message to another user or a user agent. It's nothing but is a receiver. So is a message originator is going to create a message. Then he is going to release the message or is going to hand over that message to the message submission agent. Okay, in short form we will say MSA, message submission agent, through SMTP, simple mail transport protocol. By taking help of SMTP, simple mail transport protocol, so after the message is created by the user agent, just we are surrendering or we are hand over that message to the MSA, message submission agent. So this message submission agent will again deliver the message to the message transfer agent, MTA, again by taking help of SMTP, or it uses SMTP, simple mail transport protocol. Okay, it's a successive transform, or it's like sending a message from one to another. Okay, continuously they are sending it. So initially from the MUA to MSA, MSA to MTA. So like the message will be sent via the different many message transfer agent. There are many message transfer agents are exist in a path. So it will take it will transfer through many MTAs. Again by taking help of MTA, so it reaches the MTA of the receiver side. So when it reaches the last MTA of the receiver side, so message will be delivered to the mail delivery agent. So here it is a message submission agent, it's a reverse here mail delivery agent. So here the message submission agent will take a message from MUA, then it will submit to the MTA. Mail delivery agent will take the message from the MTA, then the message will be delivered to the user agent. So it is called as message delivery agent. So now from the MDA, before it is delivered to the recipient or receiver, first it will store the message in message storage place. Okay, it's like dry space. So whenever we want to use the message, okay, in future we can retrieve the message from the stored place, okay, message storage. So it's all done with the SMTP local machine. Okay, so that's the receiver side. Now, so message will be delivered to message user agent from the message storage. So MDA will not deliver the message to the receiver or the recipient directly. So through the message storage MS, it is going to deliver it. Here it's a small space, okay, place where we can store this place to store the received data. Okay, it's like as a driver and these are a drive, and like whenever we want to use that data in future, we can retrieve that data. So by the time when we want to use it. So message will be delivered to the message storage okay, MS to the message agent by taking help of IMAP, PMP, or okay, it's a local. Okay, it's a spelling mistake. It's a local. Now then, what is IMAP stands for? Okay, IMAP stands Internet Message Access Protocol, and okay, it's not a PMP, it's a POP protocol. So also it can use the POP protocol. What is that? POP stands for Post Office Protocol. Okay, Post Office Protocol. So through by using or by referring these protocols, IMAP protocol and POP protocol at the local side, message will be delivered from message storage, okay, MS to the message user agent, the recipient. This whole complete these blocks, MTA, many MTAs, and message submission agent and message delivery agent can be placed in one place, that is message handling system, MHS. Okay, message handling system. So where the message will be handled by the MSA. MSA will be delivered to MTA, and MTA will deliver the message successively from one MTA to another MTA. Then it will deliver to the message delivery agent. From a message delivery agent, it will deliver the message to the message storage. Then it will finally hand over to the message user agent. It's a complete architecture, okay, it's an understanding about the complete architecture of internet mail architecture, how the message will be delivered from user agent, sender to the user agent, the recipient. So now let's see the detailed description of each components okay, that has been used okay, at the internet mail architecture. The first component is used is message user agent. User agent may be a sender and receiver. So if he is a sender, he is the author of the message, and if he is a receiver, so the final person that is going to receive the message. So works on behalf of user actors and user applications. It is there respective within the email service. Typically, this function is housed in the user's computer and is referred to as a client email program or local network email server. Okay, so basically, the email is a ultimate person who is going to use the email. Okay, in his local machine or email server. The author MUA formats a message, is going to create a message and performs the initial submission into a MHS, message handling system, via MS, a message submission agent. So basically, message user agent is going to submit the message to the message handling system via message submission agent. The recipient MUA processes received mail for storage and or displayed to the recipient user. So other side also we can see the MUA where we can see that user agent as a receiver. So is going to receive the message from the message delivery agent to the through message storage. Right.
Okay. The next component that has been used in the email architecture was mail submission agent MSA. So his role is very simple. He take the message from user agent and he deliver the message to the message transfer agent MTA. So before he is doing that, he will submit a message to the message handling agent system, okay, MHS. Now let's see. So he will accept the message submitted by a MUA, okay, MUA message user agent sender, and enforces the policies of the hosting domain and the requirements of internet standards. And he will make sure that that message need to be enforces the policies of the hosting domain and the requirement of internet standards. Now this function may be located together with the MUA or as a separate functional model. Okay, these functions may be located together with the user agent or sometimes with the functional model of MHS, message handling system. In the later case, the simple mail transfer protocol SMTP is used between the MUA and MSA. So it's very simple. So by taking help of simple message transport protocol, so we are using or we are delivering that message from MUA to MSA. So the next role of the component is message transfer agent, MTA in short form we can say. So it is just going to relay the message, it is going to transfer the message or deliver the message successively from one MTA to another MTA until it reaches the receiver end. So it relays the mail for one application level to hop. It is like packet switch or IP router in that its job is to make routing as an assessment and to move the message closer to the recipient. So it's very simple as when we are sending a message via wireless communication. So we'll use IP routers or simply I can say the routers. So that are placed in wireless mode. So when we are sending a data packet, the data packet will be connected from one router to the another router while all the routers are connected together. So need to be ensure that those routers are advertised by authorized user. Same. So the data packet will be moved from one router to another router, and this is how we are transferring the data packet, and we are trying to make the data packet to be reached at the receiver side, nearest router of the receiver. Relaying is performed by sequence of MTA. That's what we are just changing that, delivering that message from one MTA to another MTA until the message reaches message destination agent MTA. So an MTA also adds a trace information to the message header. So all the MTAs will be connected from one MTA to another MTA, and while while they are getting connected to each other, so need to be traced that this MTA is sending message or transferring message to that MTA. This message is received by the adjacent MTA. This is to be able to track or trace should be we need to trace that that track. So from where to where the message is sending. So SMTP is used between the MTS and between MTA and then an MSA or MTA. So this is how we are transferring a message from one MTA to another MTA, and it will come out from the MHS message handling system and it will given to the message storage. It's about message transfer agent. Its role is just to transfer the message from one MTA to another MTA. So another component has been used for internet architecture, mail architecture, is mail delivery agent, MDA. So responsible for transferring the message from message handling system, MHS, to the message storage. It's a simple, it's a role, this role is very simple, and okay, it's a single role. Takes the message and okay, it's delivered to the message submission, message storage. Takes the message from the message transfer agent, then it will given to the MS. Message storage, MS. So before the message we are delivering to the okay, receiver or a user agent, first we are going to store that message in some storage place. Okay, so that place is called as message store. And message user agent can employ a long term message storage. He can store that message for a long time, and when you want to retrieve that message in future, you can retrieve the message. And message storage can be located on a remote server or on the same machine as the MUA. Typically, an MUA retrieves the message from a remote server using POP, Post Office Protocol, or IMAP, Internet Message Access Control, protocol, IMAP or POP. Through POP or IMAP, the message will be delivered to the message delivery agent to the message user agent. So message storage is for why we are using it. Just say for example, we can store the mail in some drive space, right? Message drive. So that when we want to use that message in the future, we can retrieve the message from the drive place. So it is very similar to that kind of drive place. So these are all the components has been used at the mail architecture, and we came to know about their roles of each and every components.
Next discussion is on email threads, that is problems for the email communication. If you see the RFC 4686, they have done the analysis of threads. These are motivating domain keys identified in mail. So describes the threads being addressed by DKIM in terms of the three types. The first one is characteristics. These characteristics are categorized into three levels of threats, that is low end, spammer, and fraudsters. So these threats in the categorized into three levels of threats in the spectrum. The first one is on low end level. That means attackers simply want to send the message that receiver doesn't want to receive the message. In a low end threat, initially the characteristics is categorized into three levels of spectrum. So one is characteristics, and inside the characteristics low end. So here low end, the sender is keep on sending a message though the receiver is not interested to receive a message. His intention is it's very clear, is just to keep on sending a message, and is just want to make that receiver to be busy with receiving a message. You want to make that receiver to be busy. Now, so the problem or the impact of a low end characteristics of a email threats is very less. It's not going to harm in it's not going to create very high impact. Now let's move on to another type of characteristics, spammers. So here the low end, before I go to this, the low end characteristics email threads, they are the hackers, they are attackers, they use some commercial available tools to send a message to the receiver. Continuously they want to send a message to the receiver, no? So in order to do it, they are using some commercially available tools. Next, let us move on to the another characteristics, spammers. Okay, these spammers are professional senders. In order to send the bulk spam mails, okay, like usually these attackers are commercially enterprises and they send the message on behalf of the third parties. Okay, that is where we will getting advantage mails. These mails are related to the advertise either in the spam or sometimes in the inbox. Okay, so here also they use they make use of some comprehensive tools like zombie to send the message. They come to know about the address of the receiver. They will address by to whom they need to send a message. Let's say for example for spammers, I'll give you a very good example here. Suppose let assume that we have you are registered for some you are done the enrollment for some platform, job hunting platform. Say for example Monsters or Naukri.com or time jobs related platforms. So you have uploaded your resume and you have given your details like you have completed your degree, and if you have experience you will mention your experience so and so, and the title of the job you are looking for. You are looking for embedded system, or you are looking for software, or you are looking for any other domain. So the job provider or consultancy, the people from the consultancy, they will see your details from the database of the platforms like Naukri.com or any other platforms like Monsters, or where you have uploaded your data, or to whom you have given your details. These details they can take from the database of the domain, and they used to keep on sending a message related to your related to your job, so that you are looking for. Okay, so usually they are a third parties. So they are like they are consultancy people, from where they will get the details. So they will get your details from the either Monsters or Time Jobs or Naukri.com. Okay, so they are spammers. They keep on sending a message to your mail. Sometimes those mails can be appeared in the inbox, and sometimes it goes to the spam. So coming to the impact or harmful or harmness of the level of harmness to the harmness of spammers. So again the impact is very less. It's almost like to the low end characteristics. So last one under a characteristics, fraudsters, and this is the most dangerous one. So this is most sophisticated one, and they financially motivated of the senders of the messages. So these are very dangerous characteristics. So they say they sense to receive the substantial financial benefits out of it. So they are looking for some benefits out of it, financial benefits out of it. Okay, they are sending a message, no? So what is their hidden agenda? So they are looking for substantial financial benefit out of it. Say for example, sometimes you have received a message, and in that message sometimes mentioned that we have won the prize. So in order to get the prize amount, you have to enter your personal details, bank details, and debit card, credit card, and you will receive OTP, and OTP also you need to mention, right? So such messages are they are like they are financially motivated. They want to withdraw amount from your bank. Okay? They want to steal the amount from your personal bank. I mean, from your bank account. So this is very dangerous. Impact is more. So next, capabilities of threats are like there are many capabilities. Just I have mentioned here 3. they know like where they can submit it and sign the data, okay, they know, and volume and routing, naming, etc. Okay, all these things are capable capable with the threads. So next about the location of potential attackers. So here the attackers, it's about the location of the potential attackers. These attackers are not in the network, a trusted network. They are not in the organization itself. Okay, so they just basically DKIM focuses on attackers located outside of the administration. Okay, attackers will not come under the administration level or administration area. So they are sitting in a different place other than the administration units. And of the client organizer and the recipient. So these administrative units frequently correspond to the protected portions of the new adjacent to the originator and the recipient. It is very simple that some attackers, they keep on trying to attack our data, so where that attacker is not in the place of our location, or I can say will not come under the administration location. So administration unit, they need to take care about the security measurement. So regularly they need to check for the security, data security, so in order to protect the data. So best example for location of potential attackers is brute force attack. So for example, brute force attack. So in brute force attack, exactly what will be done? So they try to log into our personal details, or they try to log into our profile by just trial and error method. So they will try to decode our password, like if they know our date of birth or year of birth, so just they will guess it. So maybe the password for this profile to be login, maybe this one, or so the past history of my activity. So through that past history of activity, they will just try to put their trial and error method. If it is successful, they are trying to do it. If they are not successful, they are not able to log in, or they are not able to steal the data. Okay, so this is how they are trying to encrypt. They try to decode the encryption algorithms. So these are all the email threads. So basically they are kept in 3 levels of streams: characteristics, capabilities, and location of potential attackers. Characteristics itself, there are 3 levels: loyals, spammers, and fraudsters. So next, domain key internet mail strategy. This is also very important discussion. Transparent to user, MSA mail submission agent sign, and message delivery agent need to be verified. So message submission agent need to sign the message, and message delivery agent need to be verified. That the sign need to be verified by MDA, and this is transparent to the user for pragmatic reasons. So let's see in detail then about strategy of DKIM. So let us assume that one side we have MUA, message user agent, is a author, message author, or is a sender, or is a signer, so who wish to send a message to the other person or a receiver. So strategy will start from here itself. So SMTP will use a simple mail transport protocol to send a message. First it will deliver to the message submission agent. So I will sign the message. He will sign the message. MSA is going to act as a signer. He is just going to sign a message. Then he is going to deliver the message by using SMTP, simple mail transport protocol, to the MTA, message transport agent, transfer agent, MTA. So like that, the message will be delivered from one MTA to another MTA. Message will be get relay from one MTA to another MTA, and make sure that it is going to reach the nearest MTA of the receiver. So like that, the message will be traveled across many MTA, and it reaches the nearest MTA, recipient nearest MTA, message transfer agent. Then this message transfer agent will deliver the message to the MDA, message delivery agent. So this is all done by this is all achieved by SMTP, simple message transfer protocol, until it reaches here. So MDA receives the message from the MTA, final MTA. Now this MDA will not deliver the message to the recipient or message user agent. Before it is going to receive or deliver to the message user agent is nothing but the receiver. It need to be verified. The message need to be verified that this message is coming from the legitimate sender or not. So it will verify it. How it will verify? By verifying a sign. It will verify the sign. So let's say, for example, as I mentioned earlier, I told you many times. So signing, so we are using, for a signing we are using private key or a public key of a sender. Let's say, for example, okay, for a signing, so message user agent sender is using his private key as a sign. Okay, then is releasing a data. Now at the receiver side, you need to decode that sign. Okay, now you need to verify this sign. So you need to for the verification purpose, you need public key of a sender, but public key is not sent to the receiver. So that's what at this stage. So during verification, so MDA, before it is giving or delivering to the recipient, it takes the help of DNS. What is DNS? Domain name system. This domain name system will ask directly the receiver to send a public key for verification of his sign, because sign is done by private key of a sender. For a verification, we need public key of a sender. It will send a request. This request will send by domain name system to the recipient, sender. Sender now will send his public key to the DNS. So again, that's what it sends a query about the public key. Okay, then it receives the response. Then that response will be given to the MDA. MDA will now able to verify the signature. If the signature is matched, okay, the sign is matched in both the side, then it will decide that this message is coming from this sender. Okay, legitimate sender. If the signature is not so during verification, if the signature is not matched, so it will come to the decision. This message is it's not coming from the legitimate user, legitimate sender or message user agent. So what will take the decision? So it will drop that receiving message. It will drop that idea of receiving a message. So verification is over. Let us assume that verification is done successfully. Then MDA will send such message. This is comes and the receiving side. This is belongs to the sender side. Now MDA will send the message to the PO through POP or IMAP, post office protocol or internet map. What is IMAP? So IMAP stands for Internet Message Access Protocol. POP stands for Post Office Protocol. Okay, through or by using these protocols or any one of the protocol. So MDA will deliver the message to the recipient. This recipient is also MUA, message user agent. Or a receiver. So this is how the strategy of DKIM will work. Okay. When the message need to be transferred from legitimate sender to the legitimate receiver. Okay, so many components we need to take the help. We need to take the help from many components. There are MSA, MTA, MDA, and MDA will take help of DNS to get a public key of a sender, then verification. After verification, message will be delivered to the receiver. This is what the strategy is used by DKIM. So now we came to end of the topic of module 2, DKIM functional flow. Okay, I'll leave this topic as an assignment, because so all the topics what I have covered in the module 2, the same thing is included here as in the flow chart. Let's see. Okay, overview, starting from RFC 5322 message, it is going to receive it. Then see here, public key store, in order to get a public key. Okay, so verification of a signature and assessments, filtering of a message. Okay, these are all the private key stores. Place okay, is used by the, it is place where we can store some private key information. Okay, so please refer any textbook like William Stallings and you try to study it, or you can watch all my videos of previous videos of module 2, so then you will understand what is this exactly. So as I want to conclude here module 2, so as a summary, so we have considered or we have studied, so what is the security, or what is secure mail, okay, and so why the emails are not secure, because of hackers are trying to steal our data, and why the security is needed for email communication. PGP, it's one of the technology can be used for email data, pretty good privacy. And another data is a secure mine. Okay, this is a technology that can be used for email data. So domain key identified email, okay, DKIM, domain key identified emails or a mail, DKIM. So this is all the topics we need to study, and we have studied in module 2. So this is what the summary part.